the street and making sure that our voices are heard.
And I have a story about that, is that I think there is an exhibit now at the National Air and Space Museum on predator drones. And the way this exhibit is presented is if these predator drones are great advances in American technology that allow people to kill, bad terrorists to be killed, and you know, of course, by remote control by some people sitting in Nevada, and how fantastic this is. And the Veterans for Peace movement and some of the people from the whole Occupy, the whole amorphous Occupy movement actually stormed the National Air and Space Museum, 200 of them, 2 weeks ago, because they said that this is duping the American public into believing that this war, this secret CIA war, that has not gone through congressional approval, did not go through the bicameralism requirement that is in our Constitution, is being sold to the American people as this, no-cost killing recipe where you can go anywhere and kill this bad guy and there are no consequences to it. We don't have a soldier that's put in danger, and this is so precise and targeted. And so, that's a problem, and I take that as a hopeful sign in a human rights sense, because this is a question that Americans have to determine as a question of American democracy. Is the question of whether we're just gonna, give out these let these wars to the CIA, where we don't know any of the details, where even the lawmakers that we elect, regardless of whether they're Democrats or Republicans, know the details, and they're, so we just don't have to deal with it. But the fact is, as the quote Ethan read to you, is that they do have a cost. They have a cost in the sense that, even if you, hypothetically, and this is not the case, but even if you just killed the one, quote, terrorist, but you destroyed, say, 6 houses. I mean, those 5 houses that were not his house are houses of people who might have lived there for generations. And they're not going to like you for the fact that they now have to go wash cars in Karachi or work at a chicken farm because their house is destroyed and they don't really know what to do about it. So, I mean, it's a cusp for Americans and it's a cusp for Pakistanis. It's a cusp for Americans because we are now at a point where war and revolution and all of this is very, very visible because of, our globalization of media and Twitter and Facebook and all of this. And we're just now developing the ethics of that kind of knowledge. The fact is nobody, for me, I mean, I'm a total creation of that. I write for Dawn, which is published across the world in another place. But any of you can, in one click, even on your phone, read that article. That just never used to happen before. And we are just now, as a world community, developing the ethics of what it is to know so much, and how we're going to respond to it, and how human individual responsibility, ethical, moral responsibility, is changing in response to that knowledge. So, I mean, it's a period of a lot of change, and I think, in that sense, also hope. Yeah.
It's not UN approved, and even it's not approved by the U.S. Congress. So what
there
are the stopping points for that?
Well, there is an organization. Well, first of all, and now I'm speaking as like on a human rights level, amnesty position. But what you can do, if you want to know more or do more on the drone issue, this is what you can do. There's an excellent organization out of the UK called Reprieve. That is doing and has done a lot of work. They're a human rights organization, so they're not, they're not political, but they have been very active in trying their best. Because the problem with the drone issue, the biggest problem that even Amnesty faced when we were developing our report on the internal displacement of literally, hundreds of thousands, millions of refugees because of those drone attacks, is that we don't have data. But Reprieve has actually gone and got a lot of data from people in those areas, and they had an exhibit of pictures that were taken by villagers after drone strikes. I was in London. I'm not sure if it's going to travel to the U.S., but if you know, just Google reprieve, R-E-P-R-I-E-V-E, and drones, and you'll see a lot of work that's being done on that you can do on that you can inform yourself. And it is, like I said, a purely human rights platform. So it is not taking, you know, someone, and it's based in the UK. So.
Yeah, so the reason I asked that question because it's not approved by the U.S. So if even someone filed a lawsuit against the U.S. government, is it because they said, well, we never approved it, so we are not responsible?
Precisely. I mean, you know, there's also a paper that's actually written by an a Notre Dame professor. Her last name is Connolly, and I really recommend it to you. You can get it on the internet, which deals with the legal issues of drone attacks, both the justifications of hot pursuit that are given to justify those attacks, and the question goes far, far beyond Pakistan, because the current legal rationale for drone attacks of going into a country that does not, you know, that the U.S. has not declared war against, is basically a rationale that would allow any country to go and